Welcome back to Royals Review. You join us after a disappointing defeat 1-0 to Leyton Orient at home. Jim, you were there. Start us off with your thoughts. On quite a poor result for the Royals. Well, a very poor result for the Royals.
Yeah, terrible result. Worst home match I've seen in a while. There's not really too much to talk about in terms of positives. I think, the first thing, I guess, perhaps a surprising start for Boyce Clark. A chance for him to sort of prove his worth, but unfortunately he did himself no favours when a decent save was almost immediately made redundant through some comical goalkeeping, which ultimately settled the game. I know it's only been one game, but if that's a regular performance from Ken Campbell as well, he's got a lot to work on. There were some promising signs, but generally he lacked pace, meaning he couldn't really beat his man. He didn't really look sharp, and of course he had a really good 1v1 chance to get Reading right back into the game, which unfortunately went straight to the keeper. Perhaps a little bit unlucky. But yeah, I mean, Sellers has said that Campbell will bring something different to the squad. So I think let's wait and see what he's got. But yeah, really, really unfortunate that he didn't I feel like if he scored that, it could have easily, the tables could have turned again. Reading could have been right back in the game, but he didn't, and it just meant that it was more pressure from Leyton Orient. And then, the only other thing that I really picked up on was Mbenge. He was really solid defensively, and he always is pretty solid defensively. But in recent weeks, I've noticed that he's been taking on so many sort of risky moves. Like on numerous occasions, he's decided to make unnecessary runs forward through, multiple lines of the opposition, playing poor passes to forwards when wing is like sat right in front of the defence. And then, just attempting to take on the opposition when he's basically like the last person back, just unneeded risks to take. And I think if wing is going to be playing that deep, he's got to be the one that's dictating play. We're missing his goal scoring presence further forward because he's playing that close to the defence. So, it's vital that we make the most of him being that link between defence and attack. And if we're not, then he may as well not be on the pitch.
Yeah, no, I kind of agree with everything you said, to be honest. Particularly you saying it's the worst Reading home game you've been to for a long time. I think it's first home defeat in 6 months. And it's almost been a calendar year since Reading failed to score at home, which probably is, on reflection, more a positive that we've managed to score in so many games consecutively. But it feels very disappointing given that Leyton Orient were a team in a lot of trouble, I think. Like, hadn't won a game this season. I don't think they'd scored away from home yet. It's another time where a team you'd assume is likely to struggle against Reading, and then they're the ones that end up getting the result. It's quite frustrating. Particularly as in the last episode, we were quite positive about Reading and where they were at. This feels like it's a couple of steps back, which after the international break is just, not really where you want to be. Obviously, the positive news is that the games come thick and fast now, so they've got a chance to improve and bounce back from that. So that's a good thing, and we'll obviously come on to that later, and we hope they do. But I was just really underwhelmed by the performance, and not helped probably by me shouting everywhere saying that I think Reading will win easily, and a couple of my tips to pundits saying that Reading were the bet of the week over the weekend. So maybe I'll take the blame and I'll share some of that with them when I next see them. But super disappointing.
I think Leyton Orient weren't actually that bad. They definitely came with a game plan. You could sort of see what they were, although it wasn't too tactical. You could see how they were trying to play and just get as many crosses into the box as possible. Double up on the weak links in the Reading side, which is which was in this case Dorset on as a left back. They had two wingers or two players basically just sat next to him for the whole game and were just pinging it past them, trying to get flick-ons and everything, and it worked a lot. So yeah, I mean, credit to Leyton Orient. Like you just said, they started the game bottom of the table, and yeah, they got a decent 3 points. It's a good away day for them and their fans.
Yeah, definitely. I like they'll be buzzing with it, and rightfully so. Very good performance from them. Let's talk about the goalie then. I know you've covered it off, but firstly, I mean, you might completely disagree with me here, but I was quite surprised to see him given the nod over Button.
Yeah,
Particularly
agreed.
when he's been away on international duty and like he doesn't really have loads of first team experience.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Button did play the majority of games last season, albeit like I'm not a big Button fan by any stretch of the imagination. Like I actually really don't particularly like him, but I would definitely go with safe and secure here. Not that I'm questioning Sellers, because as we all know, I love him to bits. But yeah, I was very surprised to see him thrown in there, and unfortunately, that surprise now leads me to think like, well, we could have avoided that. Although chances are Button probably would have made a silly error as well, but just feels a little bit frustrating that that was the choice that was made. CBC in goal, and it's an absolute howler. Like it really is.
Yeah.
I do generally think that most goalies will have one over the season, so hopefully that's our one done. But obviously Pereira's out for a little while now until the end of the October transfer window. International break is over, so we're gonna have to make do until he's back. I personally would just go for Button, but I don't know what you think.
Yeah, I agree. I know you said every goalkeeper's got at least one comical mistake in them each season, but I feel like Boyce Clark has made a howler in pretty much every game that he's played so far. I think he's a confidence player, and I'm sure like his time will come, but I just don't think this is the right time, especially after that performance. And yeah, like you also mentioned, I would just go with Button. He's got tons of experience. Um, at least the defenders might feel like that they've got a bit more confidence with Button behind them. Yeah, I know we mentioned on the last pod how important it is having a decent keeper if you want to have a decent team, if you want to finish the season in a decent spot, and just how much confidence it adds to the whole squad if you've got a solid goalkeeper. So yeah, I think with Pereira out, although Button also has a mistake in him, I think he's a much better option than having Boyce Clark in at the moment.
Yeah, I'm on the same page. But obviously, like I don't want to pile on to Boyce Clark because yeah, he made an error, but there was plenty of time for the team to get back in the game. As you say, Kim Campbell had a golden chance which he couldn't quite put away. So it's not all his fault. I think
No.
realistically, you'd expect Reading to be getting on the score sheet, particularly at home, particularly against Leyton Orient. So that is equally as disappointing in my eyes. But one positive was the return of Harvey Nibbs. Obviously not from the outset, but made a nice little cameo. What did you make of his reintroduction, or the same as usual?
Yeah, I mean it wasn't a game changing appearance, but yeah, like you said, it's great to have Nibsy back. We know what he can bring to the team, and yeah, I don't think it would have been great if he came on and scored an equaliser or something. But yeah, I just think all the players, they just weren't on the same page. The passing was nowhere near as good as it usually is. I think they just might have lost a bit of the sharpness that they had before the international break. So hopefully, give it a couple of weeks, that'll be back to where it was before. Just in time for another international break where it can all go downhill again. But
Yeah,
good to have Nibsy back, but didn't really change the game too much. What I would say though is Akandi, when he came on, again didn't change the game, but he definitely offered more than Campbell was offering. He's a lot quicker. He looked well. He just tried to take on the opposition more. He was signaling for the balls to be played over the top. Like he knew what he wanted to do. He was a lot more direct. So yeah, I think Akandi is going to have a big role to play this season for sure.
Yeah, he's very exciting. I think one of our most exciting prospects. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that unfolds. Well, we mentioned it then that Royals are going to have a chance very soon to put things right when they face Bolton at the weekend. Bolton are a side that across all competitions seem to have gone loss, win, loss, win, loss. So coming up against Reading, I hope that changes and it's not a win for them here. But they are also a side that just lost 4-0 to Huddersfield.
Yeah.
So they'll also be looking to bounce back, albeit from a much more emphatic scoreline. Now, I don't actually know too much about Bolton, Jim. I don't know if you do, but I imagine they are probably feeling quite down, particularly after losing 4-0. But they're usually a side that's right up the top of League One, so they're probably not going to be too happy with their current performance and their current status in League One. I believe, and you'll correct me if I'm wrong, that they're 3 points behind the Royals at this point. So they'll be looking to close that gap with a win at home against us at the weekend. Anything that you can say to perk up any readers after I've just basically suggested that Bolton are going to win?
I mean they've had a tough start to the season, so I guess we can hope that continues. They've not scored too many goals, I believe. I mean, you'll be able to correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if you saw any of the highlights from the Huddersfield game on X, but their defence was all over the place and they conceded some pretty shitty goals, to put it nicely. One of them, the goalie just passed it straight to one of the Huddersfield attackers and he just smacked it in the back of the net. So, I mean, yeah, we can hope for that to happen again. But yeah, they're 3 points behind. Although it seems like we've started okay this season and we're playing all right, that could all disappear with a Bolton win. We could literally drop most of the way down the table, and it could not look as nice as it did a week or so ago. Look, they're a good side. They've got some decent League One players. Some, especially their forwards are just, they're really good League One players. They've had their fair share of League One clubs. They've scored a lot in this league. They've got a lot of experience for League One. It's going to be a tough match. They're usually finishing the season pretty high up the table. So yeah, it won't be easy. I think they'll be on the lookout for 3 points and looking to sort of capitalise on our poor form at the moment following the Leyton Orient game.
Yeah, you are completely correct about the goal scoring thing you said, because they've scored the fewest goals of any team in League One with just 2, and just ahead of them with 3 is Leyton Orient. Reading are not towards the top actually with 5 goals scored, but a few higher. So hopefully they can add a couple more when they face Bolton at the weekend. My prediction is draw, which is a massive cop out, but I think both these teams are pretty, maybe desperate is not the right word, but not far off desperate for a win. Reading both teams looking to bounce back. Bolton in front of a home crowd who, are, as I said earlier, not going to be overly enamoured by their performances this season. So, they'll be hoping for a win. Jim, anything to add before we leave for today?
I think I'm going to go for a Reading win for this one. I think, just looking at how Bolton lined up defensively in that last match, I just think if our forwards are on it and they fancy scoring, this is such a good opportunity to get, whether it's their first goal under the belt, or for Smith, for example, just to get on a decent scoring run. Why not? So yeah, I'm going to go Reading win. I think 3 points will be huge. But yeah, I think Bolton would take a draw, just given how they've started. But yeah, I think for Reading, we should be looking to get 3 points.
Yeah, I agree. Well, there we have it then. I'm predicting a draw. Jim's predicting a Reading win, a Reading away win, which we all love to see. Enjoy the Bolton game as it comes on Saturday, and we'll speak to you the following Monday. So hopefully we'll be talking about a win. Thanks for joining me, Jim, and everyone at home. Have a great week and weekend.
Cheers, mate.